I live by Maes Mawr Hall, and it goes back to the 1500s. And Jesus is named after it was the biggest Roman fort in Wales. Jesus was the capital of Wales once, and it had 800 Spanish Roman legions. They were in from Italy. They were Spanish because they found a tile with the mark of Spain on it. So that was their signature. But so there's Roman roads going right through Jesus, and it's called Jesus because it's Ceres fort, and it's the war god Zeus. So it's Jesus. Or otherwise, other people say Suswin, and she was a princess, and she was a Roman princess, but the Jesus people liked her so much they called her Suswin. So some people say it's called Jesus after the princess, and other people say also King Arthur Guinevere was from Jesus. Suswin was King Arthur's wife, and all that sort of stuff, because lots of boggy land. Anyway, Maes Mawr Hall goes back to the it's got 1560 something above it, but before that was a round house, and after that was a long house, but they reckon they had the Druids doing ancient rituals on there, you know, murder people, all that sort of stuff. And so I've done investigations there, and in the panelled room there's two secret panels, and Elizabethan lady comes through the wall of the one panel and goes through the other panel. I got a photograph of her hand on one of the panels. Anyway, she's been seen through the wall carrying keys. Beautiful woman. Also by the one fireplace, a man with a top hat has been seen, and in another part a minister has been seen coming through all the walls, but past all the windows as well. It just comes right through all the walls. It's very strange. But the worst person on the estate is called Robin Dregg, Wicked Robin. I don't know if you know that, but Wicked Robin, and he's half man, half bull, and people have seen him going across the grounds, and he's been seen in he does mischief in the house. No one's seen him, but he throws a lot of things, and knives and forks and bits of objects, and they do reckon that he wasn't a devil. He was a what do you call it, the Celt, the Druid. He was a Druid, because the Druids, to scare the Romans, used to put bulls' heads on and dance around naked, and they reckon it's a Druid. But the hall was owned by Elizabeth I. And going back to white horses again, a beautiful white horse has been seen across the fields, and I know a lady who lives in a big house above Maes Mawr Hall, and I told her this, and she said, "Do you know what? The painting in London of Elizabeth I on her horse with her stick, looking at the Spanish Armada on that great big white stallion, that's from Jesus." And in her house, she had the yeoman of the guard staying to capture it, and they captured the horse and took it back to London, and they bred horses for her at Maes Mawr. But also you got at Maes Mawr, you got they've heard babies crying and knocking around the building, and I went there to do a story for the County Times, and as I got there, because I was the first one there, I stood by the fireplace, and they had a load of Royal Fusiliers officers staying, 20 of them going down to Brecon. And the owner came over to me and said, "They're a bit noisy, Rory, but they'll be okay, they'll leave you alone." And when he went away, these two officers came over and they said, "Hello, are you doing ghost stories?" I said, "Yeah, by the way, are you Welsh?" And they go, "Yes." I said, "Why have you got a posh accent like that, then being Welsh?" "I'm Welsh and I speak like this." Anyway, they said, "Is it a ghost?" And I said, "Yeah, see the top of the stairs?" And they go, "Yeah." I said, "Top of the stairs, a man like Charles I comes down the stairs and stands where I am now." Soon as that happened, the big fire door on top of the stairs, what's really heavy, opened in front of all of them and closed. And we all went, "Oh my God, you just see that?" And we just stared at each other for a while. So these two officers ran up the stairs. One was a young woman, she was. They ran up the stairs and they went to open the door, and it opened for them. They seen it opening. But they've also had, in one of the other rooms, one of the beds has an outline of somebody sleeping. And that happens a lot in the building, so lots of stuff. But that's it of Maes Mawr. But I love Maes Mawr Hall. There's lots of ghosts in Maes Mawr. I could go on all day about Maes Mawr Hall. Have we still got time, have we? Right, where am I now?
10 minutes.
Edward. Oh, an Edwardian lady, my brother-in-law's mum, she lives in one of the houses in Ceres, it was an old mill. And she used to, years ago, she used to see an Edwardian on the middle, an Edwardian lady, beautiful Edwardian lady, looking over through the window down onto the bottom part of the house. And this happened for years, and anybody took photographs in there, nothing would come out, just blurs, you know. So the wall was bowing, and they had to have the wall taken down. And when they pulled the wall down, they found a little door in the corner, and they opened this door, and there was a Victorian gentleman's army jacket, overcoat, wrapped up really neat. And they asked for me to come, they asked me, and I said, for God's sake, put it back where you found it. There could be a little baby in there. Because in them days, if you're a wedlock, they would hide them places, wouldn't they? So they put it back and bricked up the wall and tied it all back. And ever since, she's had nothing. Because we all know what's there now, you know. We all understand, so that's why the spirit doesn't come back. Right. St. Mary's Church. I don't know St. Mary's Church. Oh, St. Mary's Church in Caersews. St. Mary's Church, I did an investigation there last year, just for the people of Caersews. And I was told to go there because the owners who got it now, it's been changed into a house. And they've seen a black shadows in the corner of the rooms and lots of noises, somebody walking across the floor. And when I was in there, I heard somebody running across, like a little boy running across the room. When I was in there by myself, I went there to do to set everything up before I started. Anyway, the reason why I went there really was they got beautiful stained glass window, and they're restoring it, but they had to put scaffolding up on it. And it was last summer, beautiful summer's day, blue sky, the sun was coming in on the stained glass window, two of the workmen are on the scaffolding, they had lights on in the building, all of a sudden they couldn't see each other. They couldn't see out through the window, they said they were sleeping, they couldn't see nothing. And all about that lasted for a minute, then all of a sudden they were back to normal again. But they went outside and they said, it's a summer's day. But the stained glass window went black, completely black. And they couldn't see nothing. Couldn't even see the lights in the room, couldn't see nothing, even their hands in front of their faces. But they did see something. I've done, you know, so that's that story. Right. The Royal Shrewsbury Hotel. Are we all right for time still? Now I'm doing the Royal Shrewsbury Hotel because another minister of mine, another friend of mine, happens a lot to ministers. Is that telling us something? I wonder. Anyway, the Royal Shrewsbury Hotel, a minister friend of mine, he went to the Royal Shrewsbury Flower Show last year, and he booked himself into the Royal Shrewsbury Hotel. So after the show, he went to bed, got his clothes off as you do, get into bed, and he heard something going across the room, footsteps going bum 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 bum. So he thought, what was that? So he put the telly on, telly went off, bum 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 again. And the telly went off again. So he said, what's going on? Then all of a sudden, he heard the flush going in the toilet. Went in the toilet, and as he went in the toilet, there's a piece of tissue paper just floating to the bottom. And he goes, somebody's having me on here. Went back in the room, he turned around, and somebody said his name. I can't tell you his name, but it said his name. And was touched on the shoulder, and he ran out. He was so scared, he left his shoes and socks behind, got on the landing, put his trousers on his shirt. He ended up sleeping outside McDonald's for the night. He was so scared. And he's a minister. And I said, if you're a minister, why don't you go back and bless that place? You know, I thought your faith should be stronger than that. You know what I mean? So that's that. McCuntleth Hospital. Another friend, he used to work at the hospital, and this one part, he went down the one end of the building, what wasn't used. And he's a plumber, and he had to do one of the sinks. And as he was undoing one of the, you know, the taps and stuff, he noticed a pair of legs, and he got up, and there was this old lady sitting on the bed dangling her legs, and he goes, hello, and she didn't say nothing, and he, oh, that's all, turned around, disappeared. That's odd. Went back to the lady, stood, anybody down this end of the building? She goes, oh no. He said, I've just seen an old lady sitting on the end of the, oh yeah, we've all seen her. She comes around the hospital and everybody's seen her. A few weeks after, he had to do something else in the hospital, and he was, you know, undoing the door or something, and I opened the door, and there she was staring at him, right next to him. And he said, I've got so used to her now, it doesn't bother me. But the third time it happened, he was doing something still in the old part, and these two ladies went past dressed in 1920s clothes. Went straight past him, but he's seen them. So that's it, really. That's all the stories for now, anyway. If that's okay. Oh, I got one more. Are you okay to do one more? Quick one?
Couple of minutes.
Right, here's a quick one. A trunk. This is an old, one of the antiques dealers told me in town of an old trunk. And this one morning, they come into work, the trunk, all the furniture around the trunk was moved. So they blame one of the staff. Following day, all the stuff was moved again. So they sold this trunk. The people who bought it rang up a few days later. They said, is this trunk haunted? They said, why? He said, well, the other night, my daughter, who's a little baby, she was playing with her toys on the, she couldn't move, she's in a little cot thing. All her toys was on top of this trunk by the stairway. A few days after, she went to a party, came back, the little girl had her balloons tied to her cot. When they went into the kitchen to make a cup of tea, came back, all the balloons are above the trunk, going in a circle. A few days after that, the husband was coming down the stairs to go to work, and something went, get away, by the trunk, and he heard it, and they got rid of it. I wonder where it is now. So that's it.